I'm currently getting ready for an interview. I did one recruiter screener with them, and then the recruiter passed me on to the hiring team. Yeah, this company that I'm interviewing for, I don't think that the role that I want to do next aligns well with this job description and this company. 4 days in office, 1 day at home, and it is a 3-month contract, and the pay band is significantly lower than what I'm looking for. The job description, to be fair, did say 3 years of experience, 3+ years, and I have over 6 years. So I get that maybe they're looking for someone a little bit more junior. I didn't apply for this job through a form or anything like that. A recruiter reached out to me, and to be frank, to be quite honest, I don't usually like applying to the jobs that recruiters email me about or message me on LinkedIn about, because I don't know, I just feel like a lot of them don't do the due diligence of looking through my website and my LinkedIn and like the roles that I've held. I've gotten the most random job inquiries, I guess, from different recruiters that are part of recruiting agencies. The majority of the time, they don't do a good job screening before they reach out to me. I think recruiting is a very challenging role, so I can't really speak to that. But part of me is just kind of like, this is like your job? Like, I don't know. There's like people reaching out to me about like engineering roles. I'm like, I'm literally a graphic designer. I don't know anything about engineering. I had someone reach out to me just yesterday about like an event experience role where you're creating spaces using SketchUp, like a 3D program. And I was like, I don't think this is a good role for me because I don't know SketchUp and I don't do 3D modeling. If you looked at my website, if you looked at my LinkedIn, they messaged me on LinkedIn. If you looked at my LinkedIn, like you will see that I am a print and digital graphic designer. I don't do 3D stuff. But yeah, I just responded and was like, oh, I don't think this is like aligns well with my skill set. But if you have anything in print or design in the digital marketing space, let me know. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's already so hard to look for a job. And these recruiters are just like playing games with me. Playing games. Also, to be very, very honest and candid, I personally have a very low tolerance when it comes to these first round interviews with recruiters from staffing agencies. If they show up late, I had one recently where she was like, okay, I'll call you tomorrow. Never even asked for my phone number. I just don't have good experiences with these recruiters. And then this same recruiter also called me, I think like 2 or 3 minutes after the hour that they said they were going to call. So like instead of 11, it was 11:03, which is not a huge deal, but like punctuality matters to me professionally. So, you know, if you say 11, then let's do 11. Or at least message me and be like, sorry, my previous meeting is running a bit behind. The longest I will wait is 15 minutes, which I think is pretty generous. And I hope doesn't give me the vibe of like an entitled applicant. Like 15 minutes to wait for you on a call, on a video call, I feel like is a very long time. And at some point, it just feels like disrespectful of my time if you're not going to show up on time, and speaks to the role and the culture and the company. So I like don't want to work somewhere that, you know, they don't respect people's time. I'm currently just going to go through the notes that I had prepared at the end of last week. Today's Tuesday, so I like put together some notes on Friday to prep for this interview. Yeah, I'm meeting with the art director and the graphic design manager. Last time that I had a virtual interview with 2 people on the hiring team, the creative team, was for my first job out of college. I met with the creative director, I think. Well, it's been a while since I had like 2 people interview me virtually. One of my interview rounds was a panel kind of with like 4 people, but that was on site. That was in my first in-person interview in years. So that one was challenging, but for this one, it is more heavily on the production side of design, and I want something more creative. So I'm like kind of already about it, you know? I still want to do a good job. I don't want to slack off on something just because it's not my top choice. But when I had my recruiter call last week, and they gave me the pay band. I was very transparent and was like, yeah, this is less than what I'm looking for currently. Is there any wiggle room? Is there any flexibility? And they were able to bump it up by $2, which is really stellar. I did tell the recruiter, like, if you still think that I would be a good fit for this role, feel free to send my information along to the hiring team. They did, and I did get a interview with the hiring team, which is great. I mean, I'm like definitely curious to see how this call goes, because if it ends up being extremely not aligned with what I'm looking for in a next role, just looking for something more creative and yeah, more in like the marketing space. This one definitely seems more production heavy. If that's the case, then I might for the first time ever withdraw from an interview process. But who knows? Like maybe they will also say no to me because they see that I don't have the passion, you know? I don't have the grit for this role. I'm not feeling excited about it. It's always so hard when you're interviewing and they're like, "Tell me why you want this job." Uh, I just need a job. I don't know. I just like don't know how picky I'm allowed to be because the job market, as we all know, is not great right now. So this was kind of like a backup job. I feel like if I could kill this interview, then there's a good chance that I could get this role, but there's so many things about it that already don't align with what I'm looking for in a next role. So it's like, do I even want it? The very first job that I had out of college, it was a situation like this. A recruiter had reached out to me on LinkedIn. I thought it was a scam. I reached out to my friend who works in HR. She verified that it was pretty legit. So I was like, okay, I'll take this interview. I interviewed, I think, 2 or 3 rounds with them, including a project, and then they ghosted me for 3 months. And then they got back to me, and the recruiter was like,
Can we get on a call later today?
I was like, okay. I thought he meant phone call. No. Homie hits me with a Zoom link like 5 minutes before our meeting time. And I was like, what? And my hair was in a bun. I was like wearing a ratty t-shirt, had to change. I get on the call and then head of HR is there and they start talking about like benefits and the pay, and it was remote work still because it was COVID times. I was like fresh out of college, so I was literally in the call like, wait, are you like offering me a job or like is this all hypothetical still? And head of HR was like,
Oh, no, yeah, this is like we're extending you an offer. And I was like,
okay, well, that was like very unclear. And you ghosted me for 3 months. And they were like,
okay, anyway, so do you want this or not? Because we need you to give us verbal confirmation that you're going to take the job before we can send you any of the paperwork to sign.
and I was like, considering the fact that you ghosted me for 3 months and I didn't even know that I was still in the running for this job, I would like some time to think about this because I'm learning all of this for the first time right now. So, no, I can't really give you a verbal confirmation that I will be saying yes to this job. So then finally they relented and were like, okay, you can have 3 days to think about it. And I was like, does it account for the fact that we have a holiday coming up and the weekend? And they were like, yeah, you have to let us know by Saturday.
So the next day, first day was going to be Christmas Eve. Second day that I could consider it is Christmas Day. And then the third day was a Saturday. So I was like, why is it so serious that you need to know from me on a Saturday? And you can't just know next week. I don't know.
When I had signed the paperwork saying that, like, yeah, I was taking the job, I was devastated because I felt disappointed that that was like the best that I could do in a sense in a role. I had no other offers at the time. So I was pretty desperate to just like land a job just to get paid. I needed to start paying off my student loans. So I took it. And I ended up making some of my closest friends now through that team. And I really loved the people that I worked with, but the job itself I didn't love. I ended up quitting after like 2.5 years because I was so burnt out and I was started getting really bad anxiety and panic attacks at the office. I'm a lot protective of my mental sanity and my work life balance because, as a reminder for everyone that's interviewing, you are interviewing these companies as much as they are interviewing you. You want to ask good questions and make sure this is a team that, you feel like you can work well in. If there are lots of things that aren't aligning for you, I can't speak to how in need of a paid job you are, you internet stranger. But my encouragement is just to treat these interviews that you're in as a very two-sided street because it is. You want to make sure that this is a team you want to join as much as you want them to like you want to like them too. That is the goal. And I think I'm at a place now in my career and in my job search where I have more sense of assurance of self, of what I'm looking for in a workplace that I want to be part of, what kind of work even excites me and all of that stuff. So I just feel a lot more protective of my mental health now after having worked in-house for like the past 6 years. Yeah, it can really take a toll on you. And I know I'm still very young in my career. I don't have, 25 years under my belt. I think it's important to protect what you can, because if you don't protect it, it's so much easier for other people to take from you. Oh, check back in with you, camera, after my interview. Fingers crossed that it's not horrible and awkward. Yeah, I've definitely done interviews where it feels like, when you instantly do not click, you have to sit through another 27 minutes of talking and pretending that you're interested in each other. Good stuff. I finished my interview like an hour ago. It ended up being 50 minutes-ish, even though we only allotted 30 minutes for the interview. I think it was 'cause, like 2 people were interviewing me, so there's just not enough time for everyone to kind of get all their thoughts in. I like screen shared my portfolio website and talked through one of the projects that like best aligned with this role specifically. I should have prepared that a little bit better because I was literally interviewing with the hiring team. Some part of me thought that this would just be like a talking interview, but makes sense that they wanted me to walk through one of my projects. So I think that went well. And honestly, like before I even had the chance to film this updated thing, I had sent a thank you note to the recruiter that connected us and to pass on to the hiring team because I don't have their emails. And then they called me and was like, oh, I have update and like feedback for you, like 5 minutes after I sent my email. So I called them back just now and they were like, you got an offer. And I was a little bit shocked because I thought that there would be at least one more interview or like a project or something. I don't know. The 2 people on the creative team that interviewed me, they were really nice and they spoke really highly of my portfolio, which was really encouraging. Last year when I was unemployed and looking for jobs, my portfolio looked very different. I had redesigned it back in like 2024. So when I was looking for jobs last year in 2025, I'd still use the same portfolio, just updated it with like new projects that I'd worked on in 2024 and 2025. And yeah, I like didn't really get a lot of interviews last year. I honestly didn't really get any. It was just really challenging and I thought my portfolio was good. Earlier this year, I decided to redo my portfolio completely. I changed to a different like hosting site completely. I was on ReadyMag previously and I switched to Framer this time because I was getting so many ads on LinkedIn for Framer. So their paid ads are working. But yeah, so I switched over to Framer. It took me like 10 million years to build out my website because I wasn't familiar with that general structure. ReadyMag is like very easy to build in, but Framer just looks a lot more professional as a designer and is a lot more responsive across different like formats, like digital formats. So I like that a lot. And yeah, just like completely changed my portfolio. A literal 180 looks so different. And I really, really like the way that it turned out. And I'm very proud of it. So to hear such good feedback on the interview was really encouraging. One of the interviewers was saying that they really liked my website. So they both had asked what like platform I built it on. Maybe they thought I coded it, but no. So I let them know like how I built out my website. And one of them was like, yeah, honestly, like I don't even think I really looked at many of your projects because I was just so impressed with like the general design of it already that it already felt like, you were in. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And then the other person that was interviewing me was saying like the team has hired a lot of contractors and in-house designers and whatnot. So they've just seen a lot of portfolios and they were just saying that like a lot of the times you see, well, like maybe 1 out of 50 portfolios that you see are genuinely good and like interesting and visually different. And I get what they mean. I think a lot of the portfolios that I look at for graphic design and like marketing, brand design, it's like that same grid of 6 projects, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 2, 2, 2, with like the logo of the company that they worked for, and then that's it. And then you have to kind of just rely on brand recognition. Like it's cool if your logos say Apple, Target, Google, and stuff like that, and like reputable names. But more often than not, people are working at companies that aren't very well known. And that was how I like laid out my portfolio previously too. Like I just chose graphics that looked interesting or like product images that looked really nice, but gave zero context to what the company was that I worked for, especially because most of the companies that I had worked for previously were not household names in a sense. It didn't mean anything basically to recruiters and to hiring managers. So I think the way that I changed my portfolio this time around is a lot more, hopefully, recruiter and hiring manager friendly, of just like giving more context. I could like walk through my portfolio a little bit more. I was thinking about doing a video of like updating my portfolio because there are some things that I want to add into it, and I just like haven't seen that many videos of like how to use Framer as a graphic designer. Most of it is like people that come from a more of a product design background, or the paid partnerships that I've seen Framer do with creators that are in the graphic design space. The creators always use templates, and I built mine out from scratch, so I didn't use any templates. I only used the components. So I feel like it would be interesting and helpful to know on the design end how to build something on Framer from scratch rather than plug and playing using their many beautiful templates. But I just felt like the templates didn't work for the vision that I had for my website, so not sure if that's interesting to anybody. But anyway, since I got the offer, I have just been sitting in my chair mulling it over. I let them know that I will take, like, I'd like a day to think about it, and there's no strict start date, which is nice. Unfortunately, I had like multiple trips planned for the next 2 months, and since this role is hybrid and requires me to go into the office 4 days a week, it doesn't seem feasible, and there's no PTO. I joke about this with my friends, so like don't take this too seriously, but sometimes I'm like, I'm too busy playing and having fun to like have a job. But I think what I mean with that is that like it's challenging for my lifestyle to have an in-person job, a hybrid job that requires 4 days in office, which I know is the norm now. I think if it was like 1 or 2 days in office, I could totally swing it. Having had worked remote for so many years, and with it being summertime, I've just like planned more trips. I can still take those trips, but I just like wouldn't get paid. And I'm sure they would honor it because it's like these were planned before I got this role. But still, like, there's just a part of me that feels I would be kind of making the wrong move if I took this job. On one hand, I'm like super grateful to even have had an offer, considering my contract ended 2 weeks ago. So like I haven't been like fully unemployed for even super long, and I'm so grateful to have had interviews even, or recruiters reach out to me on LinkedIn, and just like any inquiry at all, because this job market is very challenging. It is very tough right now. But there's also just a part of me that feels like I would be making the wrong move by taking this role. I don't know how to explain it. It is kind of like a gut thing, a gut instinct. Like nothing against the company, nothing against the team. Like the two managers that I interviewed with, like they were genuinely so easy to talk to, so great, really good vibes. I feel like the culture there also sounds really great. And one of them had been working there for 7 years and had talked about like how there's just so much room for growth and all that. So all of that does feel aligned with the next role that I want. I think what I also told the recruiter today is the main thing that I'm kind of stuck on is this isn't really the work that I want to be doing. So I just don't really feel like it's pushing me forward in my career trajectory. It doesn't necessarily feel like I'm taking a step back, but I feel a little bit stagnant in it. Since it's a lot more production design focused, and I would like something that is more creative in the digital marketing or brand space. I think what will be challenging in it is maybe adopting and understanding their like AI workflows, because it sounds like that's a very big part of the team right now and their expansion and growth as a design team. But yeah, I just feel like in the actual design work that they're doing, like it won't be very hard. And one of them also did mention that the work that they do there seems pretty much very similar to one of my previous companies that I've worked for. So I think hearing that was like not discouraging, but just also like a reality check of like, yeah, is this what you want to sign yourself up for? Granted, it is only 3 months, so like genuinely is not the end of the world. And it would be nice to make some money in the next 3 months. You know, like it's a job, like I'm still getting paid. So it's like not the end of the world. And 3 months is like not a long time. I can just take this job and like live with it and then decide after 3 months that I don't want to do anymore, you know? Like that's a choice. But it just feels like I'm going against everything that I've worked for and the brand that I'm trying to build for myself and my career if I take this job. but this was a very quick process. I interviewed on Thursday last week, and today is Tuesday. And I had told the recruiter today when I called them back, I was like, I totally thought that there would be like one more. And they were like, yeah, I thought so too, but like they just really liked you. So that was encouraging to hear. A little shocking. But so now I don't know what to do. And I'm like an external processor, so this helps. I have to like talk about my thoughts and feelings or write them down. That's the state of things. What a turn of events. By the time this video gets uploaded, I will put on the screen right here whether I took the job or not, because I have 24 hours to let them know, and there's no way I'm editing this in 24 hours. So we'll see. Yay. I don't know. Like, what would you do? What would you do in my situation? Stranger on the internet. And on one hand, it feels like there's no wrong answer in a sense, you know? I'm also kind of peeved because there was another recruiter that had messaged me yesterday. Can we set up a time to chat tomorrow? Let me know what works best for you, EST. And I responded in 10 minutes and said, I'm available between 2 to 4 p.m. EST, which is 11 to 1 PST. And I never heard back. And this has happened several times where like a recruiter will be like, what's your availability? And then I'll give it and I don't hear back from them for over 48 hours. All day I have just been like waiting. I have the LinkedIn tab open. I have the LinkedIn app on my phone. I'm just like waiting to see when the recruiter is going to respond. Because like, what if I need to randomly take a call? And I think it's just like frustrating as an applicant sometimes that it feels like I have to drop everything and just like be prepared for interviews and whatever the hiring team needs from me or the recruiter, taking calls, like literally, like a lot of recruiters are like, what's your availability like tomorrow? Or like later today if they message me in the morning, which I don't mind because being unemployed right now, like I have the time, but it just feels like a little insensitive to the fact that like I also have a life and I know you're just doing your job, but like let me know in a timely manner and like also respond to me in a timely manner, you know? Like if you're asking for my availability today and it's now 5:30, aka the end of the workday, and I haven't heard from you at all, like it is a little bit off-putting and makes me not super want to work with you as a recruiter, you know what I mean? I'm trying to be understanding of the fact that like this is their job, yes, but they also are maybe balancing lots of things at once. But I feel like as an applicant, you never really get the benefit of the doubt in that end. It's like you're always expected to be super prompt and like show up and go above and beyond and like give availability and be ready all the time. They'll schedule a call for you tomorrow, or like you need to prepare a case study and a deck and like under 24 hours. And it's like I'm grateful that like in a sense I don't have a job, so I have time to prepare. But sometimes like this is like, what if I had a job still? Like, and I'm working my full-time job and I'm trying to field all of this, you know? Like it's challenging. So I wish there was a little bit more understanding on the recruiter end, but I know both sides are just doing their best, and I just like want to assume the best out of everyone rather than jump to conclusions that, you know, everyone's out to get me, which is like never the case. I was supposed to stop talking like 7 minutes ago. But anyway, thanks for listening. What would you do in my situation? Because I like genuinely don't know what to do. And there's going to be like literally 0 comments at the end of this video, at the bottom of this video. It is what it is. I'm grateful to have had an offer, but I'm just like kind of at a crossroads now. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.